Shalom, call halal Yahweh Shemi Awashai Hashem Kodash, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops, the great millstone, even the elders that came before them that taught us His truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers pushing word in truth and in sincerity, the hopeful light tabernacle of David, and the elder Yahshua. And this little pre-Passover lesson, going into a humble and contrite spirit, which is what's going to get you through pre-Passover, Passover, and Feast of Unleavened Bread, and onto the chariot, if you will. All right, so I'm just gonna, just gonna read precept after precept and pray that the Spirit, does the heavy lifting. All right, so with that, what this is just some little background. The black angels are back, hidden logic. Doesn't mean anything. We're going to start with 1 Corinthians. Let me just go down the line. In what manner of person ought you to be, right? Going into this Passover. 1 Corinthians 5. And 6. 1 Corinthians 5 and 6, right? Your glorying is not good, know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Okay? 7. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Hamashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. So you got to eat this Passover worthily, okay? Not with that old leaven, because a little leaveneth the whole lump. So 1 Corinthians 5, right, and 6 goes straight into what? Passover leaven. They're mentioning the Passover here. Right? For even Hamashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. See? Here we are in the Passover. So anyway, now this next, so that goes into leaven. Purge that leaven. Should be out of the house at this point. Philippians 2 and 12, I read this every camp. If I spell it right. Philippians 2, verse 12. Okay, wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. I'm going to stop right there. Now, this is Paul saying, right, to the Philippians, right, you guys be tripping when I'm gone. You gotta maintain, right, the spirit of truth while I'm gone. Always. Okay? Where are we? 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, not only when I'm here, but especially when I'm gone. To do what? You got to stay in the spirit. Okay? It's not just a show on camp day. All right? But it's your responsibility, right, to ensure that you get on a chariot. Right? Respect. What is fear and trembling? With the respect that this truth deserves. in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. Okay? If you don't respect yourself, you certainly can't be in this truth. Anyway, that's all the time I'm going to spend on that. Work out it's on you. If you fail, nigga, it was on you. You didn't get up off of that ass. All right? Fear and trembling. Humble yourself. All right? We're going to look up that word contrite. 13:5. What is this? Second. Here we go with the first of the examinations. Passover is about examining and hunting leaven. And that should be every day. Every day should be the Passover spirit. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Yahweh Shai HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates? Don't you know who you are? You know what to work on. You know where you need work. You know where you need remedial training, if you will. All right, examine yourself. Get in that mirror. Now is that time. You know what it is you need to work on. Just go down the list. Psalm 34. Book of Psalm 34:18. The Lord is nigh to them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. Okay? Whose spirits are crushed. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. Let's get a little crushed, spirit crushed. Contrite spirit. What can we get? Crushed spirit, humble. He will save the humble of spirit, humble in, lowly. Let's get this word contrite. Showing sincere remorse, caused by showing sincere remorse, filled with a sense of guilt and the desire for atonement. Penitent. Penitence, a lot. Penitent. A contrite sinner, Contrite meaning literally worn and bruised, deeply affected with grief and sorrow for having offended the Most High. There it is. Deeply affected with grief and sorrow for having offended the Most High. Repetitive. Contrite versus remorseful. Regretful, remorseful, or even guilty. We are guilty. Filthy, we're guilty, filthy rags. All right, so anyway, those that be of a contrite spirit, a sense of guilt, and the desire for atonement. This is what the Most High loves. You know you're wrong, right? So act like it. Don't act like you ain't done a damn thing wrong. Showing sorrow and remorse for improper or objectionable behavior. Okay? So now let's go back. The Lord is close. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such that be of a contrite spirit. All right? Remorseful and wanting, to make amends. All right, so let's move on. And this is how we should be always, but especially tonight. And last week, Isaiah 57:15. For thus saith the high and lofty one that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the holy, Salaka. I dwell in the high and holy place with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit. There it is. I dwell in the high and holy place with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. Look at that. All right. Let me read that again. Isaiah 57:15. For thus saith the high and lofty one that inhabiteth in eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. That's what you want to be. Okay? 61 and 1. Yeah? Let's try that again. Isaiah 61 and 1. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Brokenhearted. See that? That's where that contrite spirit comes in. I didn't see contrite in there. Well, let's take a look. 61 and 1. Proclaim good news to the poor, broken heart, to bind up the brokenhearted. Okay, brokenhearted. That's them right there. Humble and contrite. A broken spirit, right? And that's the good news. The opening of the prisons. The good news to a prisoner is that you're about to be free. Brokenhearted, brokenhearted, brokenhearted. To bind up the brokenhearted. All the same here. Brokenhearted. Brokenhearted. They all have the same word here. Broken of heart, broken of heart. Contrite of heart. See? There it is. So as to heal the contrite. A humble and contrite heart is the way to go into the Passover and the way to come out. And then hold that spirit. The Most High loves it. The Spirit of the Lord, of the Most High, is upon me, because the Lord has appointed me, anointed me. He has sent me to bring good news to the afflicted, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, release to the prisoners. Contrite of heart, brokenhearted. Okay, and that's all we needed. All the rest are brokenhearted, broken hearts, right? But we did get a contrite just to seal the deal. Humble and contrite. Broken heart. Okay, so let's keep going. 66. Isaiah 66 and 2. For all those things hath mine hand made, and all those things have been, saith the Lord Salaki. But to this man will I look, but to this man will I look, even to him that is poor and of a contrite spirit, and trembleth at my. Here's who you want to be. What do you mean trembleth at his word? Respect, fear. That's what that word fear means. It means respect. Trembleth at my word. Trembleth, trembleth, trembles. Trembles. Humble, submissive in spirit, and trembles at my word. Submissive in spirit. Men don't like to hear that. Humble, poor, and of a contrite spirit, and that trembleth at my word. Tremble when I speak. Trembles at my message. Right here. Net Bible. My hand made them. That is how they came to be, says the Lord. I show special favor to the humble and contrite who respect what I have to say. What is the fear of the Lord? Those that respect what he has to say. Humble and contrite, here's the word fear, who respect what he has to say. Fear the Lord. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Respect. Those that respect what the Most High has to say, that take heed to these laws, statutes, and commandments. Tremble, trembleth, tremble, trembling. You get the point. Humble, contrite, except in the quiet one and in the humble of spirit who trembles at my word. Okay. All right, let's move on. 66, that was good. Psalm 51. I'm just going down, getting some precepts. Psalm 51 and what? 7? 17. So 51:17, the sacrifices of the Most High are a broken spirit and a broken and contrite heart. The sacrifices of the Most High are a broken spirit and a broken and contrite heart. O power, thou wilt not despise. Okay? This is what the Most High, these are the things that are pleasing unto Yahweh Shemel Shah. How could you despise them? You know, you examine yourself and make sure you're walking in that straight path, if you will. Daniel 10 and 12, and he said unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy power, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. Why am I here? And to chasten thyself before. So, okay. Daniel 10 and 12. Is this 10? 10, 12. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But then it goes into this. I'm not sure that this goes in here. But I don't see my word contrite and humble in here, so I don't know how this got in here. Not that it doesn't pertain to it. Woo! Okay, so the Most High is telling him not to fear. Why? Because the Most High is pleased with Daniel. From the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself, that's what the Most High likes. Thy words were heard. Why was it? Why were his words heard? Because his actions were pleasing. His sacrifice is pleasing unto the man. And I am come for thy words. Okay. All right. So that, Daniel is in good standing with Yahweh Shem Yahshua. That's what I'm getting out of this. All right. So, and the Most High is dealing with him, right? And he wouldn't be dealing with him if Daniel wasn't doing that, which is not pleasing to Yahweh Shem. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. This is Leviticus 16. I'm just reading these. 16. I won't go too far though. I'll try not to. Leviticus 16:31. What is this? Afflict/humble yourselves. What is it? 16:31. Humble yourselves. That's what I'm getting out of it. By statute forever. Okay. So basically, this is saying it shall, let's see. On that day, the priest make an atonement for you to cleanse you, that you may be clean from all your sins before the Lord. It shall be a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. Humble yourself. Let's look into that. Deny yourselves. You must deny yourselves, afflict yourselves. This is what I'm looking for. That you may what? Humble, a contrite, a humble and contrite spirit. This is what you're looking for. Humility. This is how you win. Right? Remember, before you made yourself into the evil piece of shit that you became before you came into the truth, you had to create that, right? At first, when you were a child, when you were cool, and then in order to protect yourself because you were getting trounced out there, you had to put on that veneer, right? Start doing shit that the other demons were doing. Before you know it, you're a demon too. And then you got to get all of that shit up off of you when you come back into this truth, right? To get back to who you were before you put that mask on. It's just a mask of protection. So um, humble yourself. That's where we're going with it. Okay, that you may humble yourself. Humble, 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 humble. Self denial. You must practice self denial. Okay, that's what that's saying. Let's go to Ezra's Ezra's 8. Ezra 8. Ezra 8. Ezra. Remember that? It's always a nigga named Ezra in the church. Ezra. That nigga Ezra. Better than Ezra. 8:21. Right? Afflict ourselves. What is that? Um, Ezra 8:21. Then I proclaimed a fast there. The fast is afflicting at the river of Ahava, that we might afflict our souls before our power to seek of him a right way for us. You got to sacrifice. And for our little ones and for all of our substance. So afflict our souls. Where's the humble? Where's the humbling? That we might humble ourselves, afflict ourselves. See? I gave orders for all of us to fast and humble ourselves. Right? A humble and contrite spirit. You have to humble yourself. What does it mean to work out your own salvation? You humble yourself. Okay? Afflict ourselves. Afflict ourselves. Well, you got to look deeper. It doesn't say that. It does say that. That's what this whole thing is about. Humble in spirit. The whole book is about that. Isaiah 58. Fasted. That's the humble. Isaiah 58 and 3. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not. Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge. Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure and exact all your labors. Let's look into that. Humble ourselves. We have. Why have we fasted? They say, and you have not seen it. Why have we humbled ourselves, and you have not noticed? Yet on the day of your fasting, you do as you please and exploit all your workers. So that's the point. Humbling yourself. Examine yourself and then humble yourself. Oh, I gotta plug this in. Let me do that now. Bear with me. What? No, not yet. I'm still working on this, babe. Thank you. Good job. It's locked here. right, Slovakia. Had to plug this thing in. It's just about to die. Okay, so where was I? Check this phone. I guess I'm going to work at the LA Coliseum. That's weird. Anyway, let's see where we at. I went. Let's see. Isaiah 58. Slovakia, bear with me. Let's go to Matthew 5. 5 and 5. Let's see what this is. The Sermon on the Mount. The meek. Matthew 5 and 5. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Everybody knows that, right? Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Look at this. God blesses those who are humble, for they will inherit the whole earth. Humble. A humble and contrite spirit. Okay, meek, gentle, peaceful. Blessed, inwardly peaceful, spiritually secure, worthy of respect are the gentle, the kind-hearted, the sweet-spirited, the self-controlled, for they will inherit the earth. See, these are, if you were ever called these things in the world, you get talked about as though that this was some kind of bad thing. This is who I was before I had to don a mask just to survive. It all happened about 13, 14, 15 years old. I'd have got walked all over if I would have continued to express these attributes, right? And then at the age of 30, you start trying to wipe all of that shit away, and suddenly you're 60. And that shit has not altogether been wiped away, right? Anyway, the gentle are blessed, the meek. God blesses those people who are humble. The earth will belong to them. Happy, oh, happy are those who are humble. How blessed are those who are humble, because it is they who will inherit the earth. Humble. Examine yourself, humble yourself. Okay, remorse. Where's that remorse? Where we at? Let's get some more. Psalm 37. The whole book is this. And this is for Passover. Psalm 37. P. S. A. Psalm 37 and what? 11. But the meek, we just did this. Same thing. Lowly, meek, meek mill ain't inheriting shit. But the humble will inherit the land and will delight themselves in abundant prosperity. Humble will inherit the land. The humble. But the humble will at last inherit the land. Okay. The poor, oppressed people. But the humble will possess the land and enjoy prosperity and peace. The humble of spirit. Where'd that go? Humble do possess the land, shall inherit. Where is it? humble shall, but the humble shall inherit the land. Okay? Oh, Colossians 3. The fruits of the Spirit, 3 and 12. I mean, and everybody should be going over this on Passover. The fruits of the Spirit, Colossians 3 and 12. Put on, therefore, as the elect of the Most High, holy and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, there it is, meekness, long suffering, forbearing one another, forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Mashiach forgave you, so also do you. And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness, and let the peace of the Most High rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful. Humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering. Okay? What we got? Proverbs 22. This is the last one. Proverbs 22. I like this. 22 and 4. By humility, there's humble. And the fear, respect. Okay? By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. Let's look at this. All the same. Amplified, the reward of humility, that is, having a realistic view of one's importance. The reward of humility, having a realistic view of one's importance, and the reverent, worshipful fear of the Lord is riches, honor, and life. Reverent, worshipful fear of the Lord. Having a realistic view of one's importance. What's the opposite of that? Narcissism, yeah? They call me oh, you think you're more important than... No, I don't. All right? I know exactly what I am and what I'm not. Okay? I like this. Okay? This will be the last one. Let's see. The reward of humility and the fear of Yahweh is riches and honor and life. Okay? This is what you need to be on right now. Humility, right? Fear, which is respect. Okay? The result of humility and fear of the Lord is riches, honor, and the result of humility and fear of the Most High, Yahweh is riches, honor, and life. Where'd that Peter go? First Peter. 1 Peter 5 and 6. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, so that in due time he may exalt you. Okay? I love that. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of the Most High, that he may exalt you in due time. That's it. That's it right there. So, let's go into the Passover, right? In that contrite, let's get that. In that contrite, feeling or showing sorrow and remorse for improper or objectionable behavior. Showing sorrow and remorse. This is a solemn assembly, right? Deeply affected with grief and sorrow for having offended the Most High. Deeply affected with grief and sorrow for having. And you know you're going to scarcely make it into the kingdom. So, boy, what manner of person should you ought to be praying your ass off every day, begging for forgiveness? All right. So anyway, I'm gonna end it right here. Where did we start? Did I have a little? I thought I had a little menorah up or something. Apparently I don't. I went into Scott Ritter. Yeah, here we are. That's me. I don't want that. Yeah, we'll end it right there. Full of guilt or regret, remorseful. To Yahweh Shemel. So with that, we pray that the elect were edified. Everybody have a humble and contrite and a solemn Passover. And shalom and salutations to you all. Shalom.